Evening YouTube, Captain Machine here, back for another video, and this is part 3 of my Paizo review. And I'm going to be reviewing the Pathfinder Bestiary. You'll notice I don't have a book to hold in my hand because my copy of Pathfinder Bestiary hasn't arrived yet. In fact, the only one I've read so far has been the one lent to me by one of my players who bought it due to one of my little house rules, which I've always insisted upon ever since 3rd edition, which was, if you want to summon a creature, you better have the stats for it. Now, granted, you'd think that would make me somewhat of a huge hypocrite, but Paizo have been kind enough to not only put the Pathfinder core rulebook, but the Bestiary online. So the link in the sidebar will tell you where to find it. I'm not sure of the business practicalities of putting your entire book online for free in a easy to navigate system, because it is. It's a very good website. If you've got wireless access and you've got a good online medium, and I do, then you don't need the book anymore, which is kind of... however, the book doesn't contain the pictures. This may sound like an incredibly trivial elementary point, like as in you go to elementary school, but for me, the art is what makes these games. I've seen a lot of RPGs that don't bother with art or have poor quality art, and it loses the interest for me because I can't, because even though I've got a good imagination, I need at least that little kickstart to tell me what I'm supposed to be seeing, what things look like. I mean, Slay Industries for me, for example, wouldn't be the game it is these days in my head if I hadn't seen pictures of what a Shakhtar looked like and what a Necrothrope looked like. Same goes for D&D. I wouldn't be that interested in what a Beholder was unless I'd actually seen one. And the Bestiary does that fantastically. It takes all of the old classic monsters from the from the Monster Manual 3rd edition and updates them to Pathfinder, which doesn't involve an awful lot of effort on their part because they are highly compatible with each other. In fact, my Monster Manual 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth, in fact even the Monster Manual 1, is still going to stay in my collection because I can still use them. Why would I keep Monster Manual 1 when Bestiary is quite clearly a reprint of it? There are certain monsters like the Beholder and the Mind Flayer which Paizo can't use because they are the intellectual property of the Dungeons & Dragons franchise, and by extension the intellectual property belongs to Wizards of the Coast. Obviously nobody can hold a copyright Minotaurs and dragons and things like that, and once it's been in a certain amount of public domain, then you don't have really no control over it. But Beholders have never been outside the public domain. They're always been part of D&D, end of. So there are certain monsters, and there's not many of them, but there are certain monsters that are missing. But I don't miss them. What they're replaced with, and there's a couple of replacements, are quite good. The artwork is amazing. The stat line's easy to read. It's put in an alphabetical format, obviously, and it makes it a nice way to run the game. Basically, as I said before, you can play Pathfinder with just the Pathfinder rulebook. If you have the Bestiary, you have a complete system, in my opinion. Granted, the Bestiary is approaching the same price range as the rulebook and is half the size, but that's the typical going price. I honestly believe that Paizo deliberately underpriced the core rulebook. I think it's called hot profiteering. I can't remember the exact terminology, where you basically take your core product and you charge less for it to get people interested, so they'll buy the expansion material. It's what Sony and Nintendo do and Microsoft do on their consoles. They sell the consoles cheaper, so you'll spend more money on the software. I think that's what Paizo are doing with Pathfinder, and I don't begrudge them. That's a very, very good idea, especially when their entire profit centre seems to be built on selling new products month after month after month. So I'm going off topic again, aren't I? Yes, you are. So yeah, Bestiary, in my opinion, is essential. There are a lot of things in Pathfinder, in my opinion, you need the Bestiary for. For example, if you want to summon anything, there are no stats at all in the Pathfinder rulebook. So if you want to summon a Celestial Hawk, Lord only knows what the stats for that are, unless you have the internet, which I do. This is an iPhone, by the way. I'll be talking about this later. There you go. And or if you've got access to the old D&D stuff. My opinion is, if you're going to play Pathfinder seriously for long term, then you really need to get your hands on the Bestiary, at least to see how they, at the very least, to see how they updated the monsters correctly. I will give this as a star system. I'll give this 4 stars. I consider this to be a relatively essential purchase for a Pathfinder game, especially if you're going to run it. And if you're going to be at my table, I insist you have at least one person at the table buy it as well, because you need your stats for your monsters if you're going to summon them. Okay, guys, thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure coming back to YouTube. I do apologise once again for my disappearing act, and let's have a fantastic 2010. Goodbye.